The Charlie Kirk Show, where talk meets action.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show. We are joined with Kevin Hassett. There is a lot of actual good economic news when you get into the numbers. I want to play cut 109. This is Peter Doocy comparing President Trump's first year to Joe Biden's. 109.
Look at overall inflation for the first year of Trump versus Biden. Biden, overall inflation was up 4.3%, higher than Trump, just up 1.6%. Groceries under Biden in that time, up 3.8%, with Trump up 1.3%. And then when it comes to gas, this is crazy. Biden up 24.4%, with Trump it is actually down 5.4%.
I have a real quick question before we welcome back national radio. We got a minute and a half here before we welcome our radio stations back, Kevin. How much do you have to lower prices before we start worrying about deflationary pressure? I know we're not there yet, but I mean, we don't want deflation, obviously, right? So is there a way to sort of make good on what people really think they want, which is lower prices, without sort of tanking the economy? Or do you just have to sort of wait for wages to catch up?
No, it's a great question, and also that chart that you just showed with Peter. The fact is that what the left is doing right now is they're looking at, say, that 24% increase and saying, well, you're down 5%, but you're still up. Yes. The bottom line is that they have this massive hole that was dug by Joe Biden, and we're filling the hole really fast. But the fact that the hole still exists is what they're blaming President Trump for, which is just logically ridiculous. And so, my view is that the way that we move forward is that we have a big supply side positive shock for the economy, which we are having because of the big, beautiful bill. So we're, building factories, we're cutting taxes on overtime and taxes on tips so that people work harder, and that increases growth, but it doesn't increase inflation, but it gives you enough growth so that you shouldn't worry about deflation.
Yeah, I have a follow-up to that when we welcome back National Radio with Kevin Hassett. We'll be right back in 2 seconds. All right, we are back. Radio stations across the country. I want to tell you really quickly about My Patriot Supply. Listen, I know that there are a lot of choices out there for your wireless, but there's only one that boldly stands in the gap for every American that believes that that freedom is worth fighting for, and that is Patriot Mobile. They support this show. They support Turning Point USA. Glenn and the team are genuinely great patriots, phenomenal people. For more than 12 years, Patriot Mobile has been on the front lines fighting for our God-given rights and freedoms, while also providing exceptional nationwide cell phone service with access to all three main networks. Major networks. You can get two on one phone like I have with the dual SIM. I definitely recommend checking that out. But here's the key. Every dollar you spend, is going to good people, or they're donating it into good causes. And that is the real reason. So you get the same everything. You just know that your money's going to a good place. Patriot Mobile's all U.S.-based support team is standing by to take care of you. So call 972-PATRIOT today, 972-PATRIOT, or go to patriotmobile.com/Charlie, patriotmobile.com/Charlie. Use promo code Charlie for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Charlie, or call 972-PATRIOT and make the switch today. All right, Kevin Hassett. Now, I want to talk about this idea of deflation, right? So we've known that this has been a dog of a problem for so many countries, like Japan went through a massive deflationary crisis. I think that's what people think they're getting, actually, when they think Trump's going to fix the economy, Trump's going to fix what Biden started. I think they think that they're getting deflation, but that's bad. So what we really need to do is, you're talking about the supply side shock. President Trump's talking about 16, 17, 18, 19 trillion dollars of investment into the economy. And then that starts boosting wages. You get a tightening job market when you deport illegal immigrants, when you have a net migration outflow out of the country, right? So you tighten the labor supply, then you get wages going up, you get investment, you get this one-year amortization, which is in the accelerated amortization of things like, a restaurant wants to build a kitchen, and they can amortize all that in the single year, or bigger investments. When are we going to start seeing that supply side shock? Because I know $19 trillion coming to the economy. If that materializes, That's going to be huge, but it's going to take a little
Right.
while. How do you predict the next 6 to 12 months going?
It actually isn't taking a while. In fact, it's underway right now. If you look at capital spending this year, it's pretty much up by almost as much as we saw all 4 years for Joe Biden.
Wow.
There's been a capital spending boom because people want to build factories and create jobs in the U.S. And in fact, it was one of my favorite little footnotes about the State of the Union address. I guess we're supposed to call it something else, the joint session of Congress. But when we were editing the final draft, one of the nerdy things that the economic team asked the president to stick in was that whenever we pass the big, beautiful bill, we're going to make the accelerated depreciation, the expensing of new equipment and new factories, retroactive to his address that night. And then what we saw was that there was an explosion of investment already because people knew we were going to pass the big, beautiful bill, and we gave them this massive tax incentive to do it. And so it's really underway, a big part of it. But one of the things that happens in terms of the big wage effects that we're going to see is that people tend to get their wage adjusted if they're not changing jobs in January. And so there's going to be really big salary increases. They're already underway this year, but when do you see January? And the other thing is, because it takes a while for the IRS to do the forms, the no tax on tips, the no tax on overtime, a lot of people aren't going to see that until April when they get their refunds. And so the bottom line is there's a lot of really good after-tax news coming for next year, and it won't be deflationary. The way you get deflationary is, you remember they called it the new normal under Obama. You just can't grow very much, and you got like really, really low price inflation, even deflation. Well, that's because they put a straitjacket around the economy. We're not doing that, and so we won't have deflation. We won't have low growth like that.
Well, no, and I think you agree with Scott Bessent. He says that he thinks the U.S. economy will likely substantially accelerate Q1 and Q2 of next year. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Kevin. You can feel free to defer. I know this isn't necessarily in your portfolio, but I saw Stephen Moran. He went on, I don't remember, one of the networks, and said that that he believes that deportations, mass deportations, are deflationary, meaning they actually do drop prices or reduce the rate of inflation potentially. Do you think that the U.S. economy still needs 1 to 1.2 million green cards, including H-1Bs and all that stuff, given AI is coming down the pike? We got this job insecurity with new grads. 30 seconds. I know it's not enough time to answer it, but do your best.
Yeah, I'm for legal immigration that President Trump thinks is the appropriate amount, and I haven't talked to him lately about what the appropriate amount right now is, and so I don't have an exact number for you. But I think that stopping illegal is one of the great accomplishments of any president ever, and he really has pretty much stopped it in its tracks. And people told us that would cause a recession, but it didn't, right? Because it gave the jobs back to native-born people. And in fact, more than 100% of the jobs this year come from native-born people.
Amen. Kevin Hassett, thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you. We'll talk to you again soon. We'll be back.